In Nacogdoches, an unusual traffic stop turns into a drug bust involving nearly 2 pounds of cocaine. Tuesday, a Nacogdoches police officer stopped a car on Highway 103 near Etoile. When the officer asked about the duo's travels, he said they started to act nervous. That's when he got permission to search the car. A canine was brought in and found the drugs. Both of these women are charged with manufacturing and delivery of a controlled substance along with possession.